People keep asking me to spoil all these 2000s horror gems, and I'm here for it. Let's do it. Unborn is about this girl named Casey. Casey starts having these weird dreams / hallucinations, including these disfigured looking dogs and this creepy ass child with these bright blue eyes. Casey is then babysitting for this separate creepy kid, Maddie. She walks on him showing his newborn sister her reflection with this mirror. When she goes to ask him what he's doing, he hits her with the mirror and then just looks at her and says, "Jumbie wants to be born now." I'm immediately leaving. Goodbye. So Casey tells her friend Romy about this whole experience, and Romy is like, "Oh, well, that's this old superstition that says that newborn babies shouldn't see their reflection for at least a year because if they do, it means they're gonna die." So obviously Casey is super freaked out, and then she wakes up one morning and notices that one of her eyes have started changing colors. She goes to her doctor and he asks her if she's a twin because this is a common condition, but usually among twins. Which, as far as Casey is concerned, she is not. That night when she goes home, she sees a bunch of cops outside of her neighbor's house and discovers that the infant daughter has died. Obviously supporting the whole mirror superstition. And also officially making this child a little fucking psychopath. So Casey's super freaked out at this point, and she goes to her father and is like, "Am I a twin?" And he admits that she was a twin, but when her mother was pregnant with them, her umbilical cord strangled the other twin and he died in the womb. And he says that when they were in the womb, him and her mother had nicknames for both babies. And she asks what the twins' nickname was, and he says Jumbie. So now Casey has come to believe that whatever is haunting her is the spirit of her twin that died in the womb. And now it wants to be born into the world. Casey does some digging and she's brought to this woman named Sophie, who she ends up figuring out is her grandmother. And she tells Casey how when she was a kid, she had a twin brother and the two of them were in Auschwitz. And they were actually victims of that terrible Nazi doctor that did all the experiments on twins, and her twin brother died. But a Dybbuk ended up bringing her brother back to life and basically used his body to live in the world of the living. So Sophie killed her twin to basically save the world from this evil spirit. But ever since then, it's been haunting her and her family. We learned that Casey's mother committed suicide, and that's why, because the spirit was following her. So Sophie gives Casey this amulet for protection and also tells her to destroy all of her mirrors. And then she connects Casey with this Jewish rabbi and asks him to perform a Jewish exorcism to remove the Dybbuk from Casey's soul. So he's having a tough time believing this whole story until he then sees one of those disfigured dogs that Casey saw at the beginning in his synagogue. So he agrees to help Casey. But before he's able to do anything, the Dybbuk in the form of the creepy blue-eyed child kills Sophie. And then it also kills Romy. So Casey and her boyfriend Mark go to the synagogue with the rabbi and another priest to begin the exorcism. There's other volunteers there helping out, and several people during the exorcism are either wounded or killed by the Dybbuk. And then it possesses the priest, who proceeds to go after Casey and her boyfriend. Mark is able to knock him unconscious, but then the spirit possesses him. And Casey, to protect herself, stabs Mark with the amulet that Sophie gave her. The rabbi comes to the rescue and completes the exorcism ritual, and it works. It completely takes the Dybbuk out of the human world. However, that is not enough to help Mark, and he dies. Obviously, Casey is devastated about this, and she's like, "Well, why would it come into the world now? I've been here this long. Why did it come for me now?" And then she decides to take a pregnancy test and finds out that she is pregnant. So that's why it came from her now. It wanted to be birthed as her baby. And of course, she's pregnant with twins.